Alright, good morning. It's good morning where I am. Good morning everyone and welcome back once again to another session of F1 Manager in the 2023 season. Bit hoarse. It's 10:30. I've been up about an hour. Obviously I was out yesterday evening, drinking, eating, festivities. So the vocal cords are a bit strained already. But it's a bright and sunny Saturday morning. It's going to be a glorious day here apparently. I'm going to be having a barbecue later. So I'm going to record a couple of sessions of this private stream rather than an impromptu stream, because I don't know who even is going to be up at this early hour. God knows. Just us maniacs. But if you're like me and it's warm, you can't sleep. It's difficult to sleep in the warm. At least I find that is the case. Anyway, we are here at Canada, the Canadian Grand Prix. Championships are looking healthy for both of the championships. Our Drivers' Championship, Hamilton in the lead by a fair margin now. The Constructors, we are streaking away. But nonetheless, we can't take our foot off the pedal, can we? Because it's an ever-evolving development race. Is good old Formula 1, and if you take your foot off the gas, you could end up coming a cropper down the line. But anyway, qualifying result, here it is on your screen, you can see it clearly. Max Verstappen taking pole position with an 111.7, which wasn't the quickest time of the session. Or is it the quickest time of the session? Yes, it is, sorry. It's the quickest time of the whole of qualifying. He saved the best until last, as all true champions do. So he pretty swift there in the final session. Pierre Gasly shocking the entire grid, getting the fastest time in Q2 with a 112.0. None of our cars have ever got below a 112.0, as you can see, so that was a rather thunderous time out of the middle of nowhere, probably involved a slipstream down the Casino Straight. So, but nonetheless, a good time there. And Daniel Ricciardo in the Mercedes with a 112.12, so a couple of shocks in Q2. Got to have been a slipstream down the straight. But anyway, this is the final grid. Max Verstappen with a 111.7. We've got Carlos Sainz popping in with a 112.0. The two McLarens pretty much neck and neck with the 112.1, their quickest time of qualifying. And as you can see, Lando out qualifying his teammate here in a rare showing of speed. Well, a rare showing of speed, it's a lie for being quick all season, but a rare showing that he actually out qualifies Hamilton. Not very often has it happened so far this season. Charles Leclerc is in 5th, Bottas in 6th after a decent qualifying in consistent. Mr. Consistent there, 112.4s all the way through. Ricciardo in 7th, Gasly in 8th, Alonso in 9th, and Ocon in the 2nd Alpine, bringing up the top 10. Now, of course, it is a race weekend here in life. It's a Monaco GP. I probably won't be tuning in because I've got stuff to do. You know, sessions to record today, which is qualifying, and tomorrow I'm off to London, so clearly I'll be on the road or doing something, preparing to go on the road. I think I'm setting off about 2, so slap bang right in the middle of the race. So won't be watching it. Not that I've been missing much, because although I love Monaco as a place, having visited it 3 times now, as a racetrack, even I, as a staunch F1 fan of many years and does like to keep sort of the old school tracks on the circuit as much as possible, even I have to hold my hands up and say, you know what, this is one that could do with being removed from the calendar, I will be honest. But anyway, we'll see what happens. Mercedes brought their upgrades and hit and miss, but Monaco is a unique circuit, so you can't draw too many conclusions about how effective the upgrades are, because even when Mercedes were hellaciously quick for many a year, they still suffered defeat at Monaco many times when the Red Bulls were slightly more, better when it came to the cornering situation. So it's always been it's never been one of Mercedes' best tracks, even when they were in their pomp, to be fair. So we shall not draw too many conclusions from the race weekend here at Monaco. We'll wait for a more normal circuit before we assess the situation. But not raving so far, I will admit. But anyway, we shall see what happens this weekend at Monte Carlo. But without further ado, it's time for strategy.
Race day has arrived.
It's time for strategy. Yes, I'm not. I'm just checking I'm not muted. So we had a bit of weather, variable weather in the practice sessions and in the first session of qualifying. So much so that actually, when it came to qualifying, Russell suffered at the hands of the weather. He didn't get it through to Q2. He was out in Q1 because he mistimed his run and came out when it started to rain, which clearly was the wrong thing to do. Carlos Sainz, if we can see the Q1 times, got a 117.4, and as you can see clearly that was just enough to get into P15 in Q1. Therefore Perez also was eliminated in Q1. Sainz just squeaked through in 15th because him, Perez and Russell all mistimed the weather. Right, I'm going to take my preview screen down now because it's always jerky. Puts me off. Anyway, so there's your qualifying grid. We've got some people out of position. Perez out of position, Russell a little bit out of position, so a bit of action down here to keep an eye on. Up front it's the usual candidates, of course. Verstappen with a time that was 0.3 quicker than, well, 2.5 than Sainz, and 0.3 quicker than us. So, well, actually 0.4 quicker than us. So we'll have to see what that means for race pace, because Verstappen was in a class of his own in Q3. Strategy here is very simple. It's the age-old medium onto hards. Why change the habit of a lifetime, eh? Okay. The two-stop strategy is deemed actually to be 7 seconds quicker on paper. We do have a set of soft tyres available, but you know my thoughts when it comes to two-stop strategies. When the one-stop isn't, is the safe bet. It's just that two stops are so prone to being sabotaged with safety cars. Now this track, if we look at it doesn't really mean much here, but we could have a look at the first of all we could have a look at the compound performance, get an idea for how quick the softs really are, and the softs are a decent chunk faster than the mediums and significantly faster than the hards. The degradation is a couple of hundredths per lap more than the mediums, and twice as quick as the hards. That just gives you an inclination as to whether or not it's even more worth it for the two-stop if the softs are like so much quicker than the rest of the tyres. They've also got a decent shelf life, to be fair, as well. So that bodes particularly well for a two-stop. The only thing I'm trying to find is the likelihood of a safety car. 67%. If it was less than 50, I might have considered a two-stop, but I think it's a little bit hit and miss. So, given that we have a fast car, race pace is usually pretty good. We're going to stick with the one-stop. We can change it to a two if we want. We can change it to a two. We can stick on a set of softs, somewhere at the end of the stint if we feel we have a decent gap to do so. If there's been safety cars that mean it's more profitable for us to do this, we can be flexible, but I think we're going to start off by just playing it safe and doing the one-stop usual strategy. Off the line, our drivers pushing with full fervour, so that's what we'll do. 70-lap race this. It could be a long one. Depending on what happens in the race, of course, we'll see how quick I go through. But starting on the set of mediums, going on to a set of hards. Here we go. We're in third and fourth. We've got a quick match for Verstappen. What is going to happen here at the Circuit de Gilles Villeneuve? Find out in a second, because we're going to dive into the start of the Canadian Grand Prix.
As the sun continues to shine, it seems like nothing can dampen the mood of excitement.
The sun is shining here too, Crofty. I quite agree.
Away now at the Canadian Grand Prix.
Okay, we have those fabled lights on. 5 lights are on. 5 lights are off. A long hold there as we ride on board with the lead McLaren car. It's Lando Norris looking to go up the inside of Carlos Sainz into the entry of the Senna chicane thing. But Hamilton has nipped up the inside of his teammate. He's up into P2 from P4. He's now all over Max Verstappen, and look at that, thundered through. He's gone from P4 to P1 in less than 4 corners here. Look at this. Look at this. Up the inside of both Carlos Sainz and his teammate. 2 cars in one manoeuvre for the championship leader Lewis Hamilton, and then he sweeps round past the Max Verstappen through the inside of the exit of the second chicane there. And he is into P1 from P4. I mean, you could not have wished for a better start for the 7-time world champion, who is on fire. And look at this. Look who has slipped in to second position, if it isn't good old trusty teammate Lando Norris. Let's watch this one.
See what happened there. Watch this. We're looking at Lando Norris.
Up the inside of the entry of this particular chicane. The chicane with no name, I think. There's not many corner names in this circuit. You've got the Senna curve, or whatever the hell it's called. It's like a chicane, isn't it, really? The first chicane, basically. And then you've got the hairpin, which is appropriately named the hairpin. This corner here. You've got the Casino Straight, and you've got Concord Straight, I think. This straight that we've just been on is called, I think. And that's pretty much it. We don't need corner names here. Oh, there's the Wall of Champions as well, which is the wall on the exit of this next chicane going into the straight. But anyway, we are into P1 and 2. We are now looking to break the DRS of Verstappen. We won't get DRS for another lap yet. It starts on it activates on the start of lap 3. So we've already broken that. So we're going to go and actually turn down the juice of both the cars here and see what happens. We're going to go outside the... Look at this! Look at this! 1.8 seconds! We're thundered off! It's the start of lap 2 and we're almost 2 seconds ahead of Verstappen. This almost reminds me of the days of 2014 when Mercedes were literally in a class of their own and phew, off they went, and they could pull 2 seconds a lap on all the rest of the field. Not good for spectators, clearly, but good for if you're a fan of that particular constructor, I tell you. But it's now Red Bull's turn to do that. But yeah, we were, of course, pushing quite hard as we go around the hairpin and up the Casino Straight now. Hamilton and Norris, again, no team orders, will be allowed to battle. We'll see how that transpires through the rest of this race. No DRS, but Norris has a slipstream. He's going to go up the inside, or looking to go up the inside. Not the most straightforward of passing places. I have seen a couple of overtakes there over the years, but it's very difficult. Now we have DRS enabled. We're clearly out of DRS range, so we only have to worry about DRS with each other, which, hey, given how our position is in the championship, we're a bit more relaxed about these two fighting, because if they were to wipe each other out, it would be a catastrophe. And there'll be lots of finger pointing, raised voices from the team boss. But somebody's spun, apparently. Can't see anything on the timing screens here.
We have another yellow flag.
Oh, it's Joe, back of the field probably already. He's spun out from the back of the field. There he is, look at him. He's lost time clearly there. But yeah, so if it would be finger pointing, raised voices. But ultimately, both championships, we wouldn't be... we would still be in the lead, you see, so we've got a bit of breathing room. Not that we wish our drivers to crash into each other, but I'm sure the fans would like a bit of drama, you know. The two teammates touching wheels or something would go down quite well with the fans, I'm sure. Bit of high drama. Right, riding off board now as we look at the... we'll keep on board with Norris here, because the DRS was activated and it got very close to the back of his teammate there. He'll get a second dose of DRS as a double DRS activation down their pit straight here, as Hamilton has to defend going into the first corner. Here we go, the right-left complex, and it looks like Lando Norris has got his nose ahead and has made DRS work there as the two cars switch positions, but Hamilton is fighting back now. He's not going to take this lying down, it seems, and why would you, as we ride on board with the 7-time world champion, as he's now all over the back of his teammate. I think this is the only DRS activation on the circuit, if I'm not mistaken. There's no DRS down this straight. Oh, there is, I tell a lie. I give you misinformation. Don't listen to me, folks, but clearly it's not the most effective of DRS straights, as you can see, quite short and very difficult to make a manoeuvre there. But we'll ride on board with Lewis here one more time as we look. But look at this, we are missing the joys of Valtteri Bottas in the Alfa Romeo, up into a lofty P4 position, not used to such dizzy heights for quite some time since his Mercedes days, eh? Okay, let's ride on board with Valtteri Bottas as he's going down the casino straight, trying to get past Max Verstappen there, but not making it stick. I don't know how many championships has Verstappen won on this game. He's obviously won the 2021. Let's forget that for a second, because Bottas is overtaking him. Let's not do him a disservice. Let us see if he makes it stick. And indeed he does. The joys of DRS once again playing into the hands of the Alfa Romeo, who by some random hook or crook has managed to get himself into a podium position on the start of lap 5. Pretty nifty, eh? Pretty nifty indeed from the flying pin, who's in the twilight of his career, bless him, but nonetheless. As it looks like Max Verstappen was about to battle back there, and he has battled back, and he's up the inside there, and he's back past now as they switch positions again for the second time in the space of less than a lap. Valtteri Bottas, the audacity of the man to pass Max Verstappen, how dare you? But we will be riding on board again as he will get another dose of double DRS down this straight and DRS down the pit straight. So we'll see what happens as Norris is still ahead of Hamilton. Oh no, he's passed Hamilton with DRS, because that's why he's got DRS, so he must have passed him there. We'll probably get a little message saying, oh, Hamilton, Norris has passed Hamilton. They'll switch positions a few times before the end of this race, I feel. Right, anyway, so it's take two as a dose of deja vu as Bottas passes Verstappen into the first corner, and no doubt we ride on board with Verstappen and he'll get Bottas back on the next DRS section. How much money are you putting on it, says the shrewd businessman, betting man? I don't know. I'll put £20. £20 that he gets him now. Shake on it, yes. Let's have a look. Does he get him? It's quite a short straight, so to pass here is quite an achievement. Is he going to jink right? No, he's not. I've lost £20. Good job I'm not a betting man, isn't it? I'm a trading man. Right, no trade, you say. I agree. Not the best trading position here. Anyway, I speak nonsense, of course. Right, so this is now going to be Verstappen's chance as we ride on board down this casino straight. We're going to see if it should be a done deal, shouldn't it? But hey, let's just check. Let's not assume. Let's not assume as look at the pace differential here as the Red Bull, which is the quickest car in a straight line according to the stats, has just thundered past Valtteri Bottas. Will also, even though he's already passed him, get another dose of DRS down the straight to consolidate his position, because there's a double DRS detection there, and into the Senna curve here. There we go, round the corner, and he's up to P3 now, and it's got a semi-healthy gap to Bottas, not out of DRS range, but 0.6 could be enough for him to remain in third place for a little bit now without too much switcherooing going on. Speaking of which, now Bottas is ahead of the two Ferraris, and will they be able to manoeuvre their way past the flying Finn? We shall see. His teammate by comparison is in P8, and Gasly's not incapable. So it goes to show just how good a job Bottas is doing here in the lead Alpha. He does have Carlos Sainz in a Ferrari all over the back of him like a rash. Don't expect him to be able to hold him off for too much longer. Let's see how much longer. We'll ride on board. Now it's going to be more difficult for Sainz because got the DRS train situation. Bottas may actually find himself getting past Max Verstappen again here. So I'm thinking the DRS... No, he's not actually. He's tapping out here. Topping out the speed there. He will get another dose of it down here, but Max is taking a defensive line. We'll have the inside line for the corner, but it doesn't look like he's going to have much of a prayer of defending this as Valtteri Bottas slices round the outside there, the first, and then has the inside for the exit, and he does make it stick. So I wonder how their tyres are looking. pretty much the same as ours. So they are actually, you know, they're not in conserve mode, that's for sure. They are definitely working their tyres relatively hard, as you would expect. But look at the train here. You've got Bottas in P3, Verstappen in P4, you've got Sainz in P5, you've got Leclerc is in P6, you've got Ricciardo in P7, you've got Gasly in P8, you've got Ocon in P9, and you've got Alonso in P10. That's a pretty big train. And then you've got Mick Schumacher in the lead. Williams in P11. That's quite the achievement there. I mean, he is holding up a couple of cars, but he's pulled a gap to, say, Vesti in the Haas, who is no doubt holding up the rest of the pack behind him. So, quite a good result for Mick Schumacher, this, actually, if I do say so. Interesting. But yeah, there's a massive, massive train of cars here, all behind Bottas. Bottas is clearly, well, he's in the mix. Like, I wouldn't suggest that he's slowing the pack down, to be honest. I just think it's the effect of the DRS here that seems to be quite powerful, it seems, in keeping the cars quite close together. Speaking of which, here's our two boys. Just line astern and swapping positions every so often, keeping the pack behind a healthy 2 to 2.2 seconds. Just keeping them at arm's length, really. Not doing too much here. Not having to do too much. Just keeping everything nice and steady. And this could be the case until we get to the first pit stop strategy. Hamilton or Norris will get first dibs on the pit call, depending on who's ahead when it comes to the pit window, I suppose. So yeah, I mean, Verstappen was pretty swift in qualifying. I mean, he's relatively keeping up to us in race pace. I think if he wasn't messing around with Bottas, I think he'd be a little bit more comfortable, maybe. But as things currently stand, he's having to try to pull a gap to Bottas. He's struggling to pull a gap to Bottas enough to get out of that DRS. And every time we get to this situation, Bottas is cheekily slipping it up the inside of the exit of the second corner and ends up ahead every so often. Well, more often than not so far we're seeing. And just switching positions. It's not hindering them too much though, because as I said, the gap 2 to 2.2, 2.4, it has been up at this level before, and they do tend to pull it back occasionally. But going up towards 3 seconds here, so just pulling away a smidgen, which is good to see. As Hamilton, you'll notice, is ahead of Norris again. But for how long? As of course we see what happens when the DRS activates, and suddenly you find yourself ahead by the first corner. But anyway, speaking of which, Verstappen's turn once again. Nice view there, actually. Mick Schumacher has lost a position to the old-timer Sebastian Vettel, as it looks like Norris has just got fastest lap of the race. Either that or he's just overtaken. I think he's just overtaken, actually. So Perez looking to make his way through the field after a poor showing in Q1, mistiming his run and getting stuck in the wet weather. Russell is not having much luck making his way through the field, and he's down in P18, not making any forward moves here, essentially stuck in a rolling roadblock type situation. Won't be very happy about that. Really expected him to be up to at least sort of 15th, 14th position right now, roughly to not maybe quite as effective as Perez in getting through the field because he's got a slower car than Perez, but still would expect him to have made some forward movement. Unfortunately not. If you're a Russell fan, I think I mentioned it before, but I'm not his biggest fan. I don't know what it is. There's just something about him that I can't put my finger on that I'm just not. Not my cup of tea, mate. Not my cup of tea. I mean, he's British, so if it was a, sort of patriotic kind of support gets it by proxy with me. You know, I'm a big kind of support most British athletes in sport, but you know, much prefer clearly Lewis Hamilton and as I said before, Lando Norris certainly. I like little Lando. Would much prefer to see Lando in a championship-winning car than Russell, to be honest with you. I do hope he does, because he's a quick driver, is Norris, and I think McLaren isn't flattering him at the moment with their showing on the track with their car. Put him in a top car, Norris, and I think he'd even take his level to another level, because when you can smell a championship and you've got a car capable of winning races and capable of winning championships, your level goes from kind of like, you know, as a top sportsman 99.82% to you know, to bang on 101% in terms of you know your ability. You kind of escalate your ability that extra 1% when you're in a position to win things. It's just natural, I suppose, also that obviously if you're in a winning position, you're going to make that extra effort when you need to, compared to if you're battling for 8th position. So I do think he's got more to give when in a car capable of doing things. So it'd be really cool to see him in a car. But the trouble with F1 is, you know, the likes of your top 3 teams, if you want to call it that, top 4 now with Aston Martin in there as well, they're kind of pretty steady in terms of their driver lineups. You know, you've got your Ferrari, although there's been rumours this week and last week that they're trying to sign Hamilton. Ferrari offered him 40 million apparently, if you believe the rumours. 40 million salary to come to Ferrari to finish his career, which I've always thought that he would want to finish his career at Ferrari as you know, as the sort of big team of F1, regardless of their performance. You know, Ferrari's Ferrari, you know. So I reckon, most people reckon, that he's waiting to see how the upgrades of the Mercedes do before he signs his contract, because he's not signed it yet, his extension or his new contract for Mercedes for next season. So I reckon he's waiting to see how the car performs when it comes to these upgrades, and you know, in the next couple of races and stuff. And if it's like a situation where we're screwed, there's no chance happening here, I reckon he'll go to Ferrari. I really do. I really do. But of course, if the upgrades work well and the Mercedes shows a turn of pace all of a sudden, then why would you move? You wouldn't, would you? So I think that's what he's waiting for. So the upgrades to Mercedes are quite important, really, if you're in their shoes, I suppose, because not only is it going to be important for the prospects of the season and even next season, it's also going to be something that determines whether you keep, you know, your 7-time world champion or not. We shall see. Interesting times ahead. And we have pulled a gap of 4.3 seconds to Leclerc here, whilst I've been nattering away, who has made his way past both Bottas and Vettel, and now takes the lead of the little train here. Ricciardo is still clinging on. In fact, all of the cars are still clinging on to the back of this, and Perez has made his way past the cars that were impeding him. He is now on the prowl, and he will probably make his way towards the back of Alonso. I think he'll have the pace to do so. We'll keep an eye on that. Russell still bogged down in P18 in the Mercedes there. Torrid times indeed. As the orange McLarens continue to show their race pace dominance over the field, as has been the case over the past few races, qualifying clearly. They have qualified on pole, we have had front row lookouts, but you know, ordinarily we are not dominating in qualifying, as was seen in the qualifying for this race, as Verstappen was quite a bit quicker than us. But it's clearly a race pace type situation here, where we have clearly designed our car to be better in the race. Hence why lack of straight line speed, which is a big thing over one lap in qualifying, but when it comes to the race, clearly our strength in cornering mounts up, given the amount of corners in the longer term of a race kind of situation, maybe. It's kind of loose rationale, perhaps. But anyway, they are still neck and neck, struggling to break the DRS, and will only be broken really if either of them make a mistake. And given that they are two very good drivers, mistakes will come few and far between for these two. But it's not nigh impossible for that not to happen, so we shall keep an eye on that one. But at the moment, it's this choo-choo train that's basically a laughing matter, as our two cars are switching positions again. I say with a smile on my face, given they're riding so close together, as if they're going to crash. I'm smiling on the outside. Inside my stomach is doing cartwheels. Calm it down, will you? Okay, so what's happening? Has Perez spun? No, Perez has been passed by Vettel, so he has actually fallen back into the clutches of these two. Vettel must have got DRS. Perez is probably getting very frustrated right now. He could really do with focusing on catching Alonso. Not allowed to at this moment in time because he's got to deal with the slower cars. Bless them. Alpine slower car, or Alpha Tauri slower car. Yes, you slower cars. You get out of my way, you slower cars. Right. And relax. Enjoy the sounds of F1. As I take a breather. Unfortunately, I'm rather foolish because I haven't got a bottle of juice next to me. My bottle of juices. Drunk it all last night. So just had my breakfast before starting the session. It was a lovely scrambled egg with cheese. So you scramble your egg, put a bit of grated cheese in it, mix it all together, bit of salt, freshly cracked black pepper, knob of butter, and onto a slice of brown toast. Also with lashings of Lurpak on. A delightful breakfast, but relatively healthy-ish. Brown bread. Butter is got some healthy fats in it. Egg, protein, yeah, a bit of cholesterol as well, but you know, in moderation and all that. It's better than a full English, but hits the spot just as effectively, I find. So, a nice healthy breakfast. For lunch, I don't know what I'm having today. Something without bread in it. And because the weather outside is hot, it's going to be 23 degrees and sunny here in the north of the UK, or the north of England really. North of England more appropriate. I tend not to be very hungry in the heat. I don't tend to be ravenously hungry because you end up drinking more in the heat. And when you drink quite a bit to replenish your fluid levels, which you need to do in this kind of weather, it naturally fills your stomach, so you don't feel as hungry as in the winter. That's what I tend to find anyway. So when it comes to sort of weight loss and keeping in shape and health, keeping my kind of, self going when it comes to getting into a holiday body mode, it's not usually as difficult in the summer because I don't find myself as hungry as often. So for lunch today, for example, I could just quite happily have a cup of soup, even though it's roasting. I love soup all through the year. A cup of soup with some crackers and cheese, and that would be a nice light lunch for me, and it'll do me nicely, to be quite honest with you. And then because I'm having a barbecue later. I was supposed to have a barbecue yesterday, it didn't happen. It clouded over, and when the sun went behind the clouds, even though the air temperature was 20 degrees, it's amazing how much difference the sun shining actually makes. So the sun not shining, 20 degrees, felt a little bit nippy on the arms. 20 degrees with the sun shining feels like 26 degrees because you're getting the sun on you as well as the air temperature being warm. So today it is bright sunshine, not a cloud in the sky, and it's 23, so it should feel very pleasant, much more conducive to having a barbecue. So we deferred the barbecue to today. Supposed to have it last night, having it tonight instead. I bought the stuff, so we're going to be good to go. And there is your food section of the stream for today. Always going to talk about food at least once a stream. Sorry about that if you're hungry. But I'm not, because I've had my breakfast, so there you go. Right, so we're on lap 19 now of 70. We have Norris and Hamilton who are driving round in a parade, really. Almost like orchestrated dancing here synchronisation at its finest as they continue to battle with each other. Leclerc struggling to keep up with them now. He's in the lead Ferrari. He's on the final podium position. He's been in P3 for a little while, so it looks like Verstappen might be struggling to make the DRS work for him, unless I've been missing them swapping positions whilst talking about food. But here we go. Let's ride on board with Verstappen here, see if he can get Leclerc going into that first corner. Oh, Leclerc's got soft tyres on it, I didn't realise. He's got soft tyres, so he could well be doing a two-stop Charles Leclerc here. Perez coming into the pits a little bit early, but it's not a bad strategy because he is clearly out of position. So coming in a little bit early, maybe trying to find a bit of clean air and then making these tyres last. Coming in on lap 20 makes me feel that he's going to be coming in for a second stop to put a set of softs on. Starting on the mediums, gone on to the hards. These hards won't last 50 laps, so I think he's going to try a two-stop here, which is the faster strategy. If you've looked, when we looked at it, it was the quicker strategy. The only issue is he hasn't found clean air. He's now at the back of a train of very slow cars. So one to keep an eye on here. And clearly, if there is a safety car right now, it would be this would be a time to switch to a two-stop, I think. This would be a time to come in for a set of hards, put them on under the safety car conditions, and then put a set of softs on at the end of the race. So any safety cars right about now would change our strategy to a two-stop. So it's good to be cognizant of these things. It's good to be thinking on your feet. Thinking of eventualities. Always be thinking ahead of the game. What if, there's no rain coming today, for example. So that's clear. So what if a virtual safety car comes out in the next lap or two? What if a safety car comes out? That's what we're going to do. I mean, we can pause it and think when it happens, but it's good to think of these things in advance. And I think a safety car coming out in the next couple of laps or so would necessitate switching to a two-stop. Is my viewpoint on this one. But then if you put the set of hards on, they might just about squeak to the end of the race if another safety car came out as well, or if you went into conserve mode. So you could still have some fluidity about how you go about the second stint. So this is kind of a crossover period between sort of 2 and 1 stop. I think the base strategy for one stopping is another 4 or 5 laps yet before we consider coming in, but it's quite close, isn't it, you see. Anyway, that's enough talk. That's enough strategy talk for now. I think, as we can quite clearly see, Verstappen's tyre wear isn't too far away from ours, so they have been pushing quite hard, these guys. Oftentimes you find that their tyre wear is much better than ours, even when we're going on neutral, because the AI do conserve tyres more frequently than we do. But they've been pretty much going, at least in sort of the standard mode for most of this stint. Leclerc clinging on with his soft tyres here. It's amazing how the difference of tyre wear across the teams here. So Mick Schumacher, for example, who's clearly being a bit more soft on his tyres, has got 51% left, whereas Charles Leclerc's got 42%. Alonso even down at 39% tyre life. All on the same tyre, all done the same number of laps, but just you can see how they have taken the life out of their tyres at different rates based on how they've been pushing. And of course driver style as well makes a big difference. The smoothness stat, I believe, impacts on this. But so that's the tyre situation. Just Perez the person to have stopped. Anybody else going to be stopping coming round this particular lap? I'd probably like to suggest that a couple more cars will be pitting at this point, and lo and behold, the man that we are riding on board with, Fernando Alonso, is the next car to pit. Again, this is on the cusp. This could be a 2-stop, this could be a 1-stop. It's more likely to be a 2, I would suggest, but he's given himself the option of a 1-stop if needs be by pitting quite close to that kind of 25, 26 lap 1-stop per kind of window, if you will. We are in the 1-stop window now officially, So this could go either way for Fernando Alonso. So how's Perez getting on? He's on fresh hards. He's battling his way through this mire of slow-running cars. It's insane, isn't it, to say that? You sit yourself in a Formula 1 car, a Williams, an Aston Martin, and get driven round this circuit at the speeds that they do, and then come out and say, well, that's a slow F1 car, isn't it? 3 seconds a lap slower than the top teams. You won't notice the 3 seconds slower. Your face, you know, you'll be crapping your pants, I'm telling you. I would love to be in an to go round even just one lap in an F1 car. I really would. I remember way back when the Mercedes, McLaren Mercedes team, this was the days of Mick Hakkinen and David Coulthard, built a 2-seater version of their MP4, whatever version of the car it was. And I think Murray Walker went in it in the passenger seat, so there was the lead, the driver was at the front, and there was another seat behind. And I can't remember if it was Mick Hakkinen or David Coulthard, or it might have been even Martin Brundle that drove Murray Walker around Silverstone in this 2-seater F1 car. I would love something like that. But even non-F1 cars, so take example, was it Usain Bolt in the Circuit of the Americas when Lewis Hamilton drove him round in a Mercedes kind of, you know, just a regular Mercedes sports car, an AMG, you know, 4 wheels, coupe type car, drove Usain Bolt round, you know, in an F1 manner, you know, F1 driver, kind of race driver manner, therefore going hell for leather, drifting it, sliding it, you know, on the edge of the limit. And that's basically the speed of the safety car. And you know how slow the safety car looks when the F1 cars are driving behind it, although that's flat out in a regular car. And for somebody that's not used to that kind of speed, even going round in a car that's clearly not even half as quick as these things, was frightening to poor Usain Bolt. You know, he's like on the edge of his seat, oh god, as you would be when you're not used to that kind of speed. So let alone being placed into an F1 car, a 2-seater F1 car, and driven around, even if these guys were driving around like 3 seconds slower than usual, therefore pretty much driving with one hand on the wheel, one hand on the, you know, you know, to the poor person sat in the second seat, you'd think you were on death's door, basically. I'm going to fire off the track, especially given how these cars, how insane their braking is. You'd be coming up to a corner at 180 mile an hour, and the corner's coming and coming and coming towards you. You probably think you're going to go spearing off down the road into the wall as they brake last minute because of the braking force of these things. I'm telling you, I can't even imagine how frightening, coming from somebody that loves speed, it would be to be driven around in an F1 car. I'm telling you. Anyway, let's get to the race again, as we are well and truly into the pit window. These all look like one-stops, although, yeah, soft onto hards was a viable one-stop. But look at this. Charles Leclerc is having to hold for the train of cars that has just come in past him. And that's put him way down in 8th position, 9th position, 8th position.
O'Connor's also pitted.
He has had to suffer being held for fear of an unsafe release, and I don't think they've got unsafe release in this game, to be fair, but in real life, you know, you have, and that would invoke a penalty. He has absolutely suffered horrendously by being held there, and he's now down in 8th position, as is Max Verstappen. These have all stopped, right? Yeah, so Sainz is up into 4th. Alonso has benefited from that pit stop. Ricciardo has benefited. Now, Verstappen down in 7th, Leclerc down in 8th. That pit stop has not worked very well for them at all. Pierre Gasly and us, of course, the only 2 cars left in the top 10 who haven't pitted yet. We are now looking to pit Lewis Hamilton. Not now, because we've missed the pit window. Let me just quickly get to where I'm going. Yeah, the pit window's there, so we're going to just drive around. We've got plenty of tyre life, to be fair. We don't even have to pit anywhere near here. We can continue to go around for, I think, for a couple more laps, to be honest with you. You know, by extending it's not too bad. We're not at risk of being undercut. We've got a nice gap. You know, if a safety car or a virtual safety car came out in the next couple of laps, this would benefit us by going longer because we can come in under slower race conditions. So it makes sense to completely extend here for another couple of laps, which we will do. We have the pace to do so. So we'll extend, and it will make our life on the hard tyres a lot easier towards the end of the race. Still neck and neck. There you go. Alonso pitting. Got Carlos Sainz all over the back of him. So we have a 21-second gap to Alonso. So clearly taking a pit stop in this race and getting out ahead will be less than 21 seconds. I think maybe about 18, 17 seconds pit time lost here for a pit stop. I think maybe. Can't be more than 21 seconds because there's no way that we were going to come out behind Alonso here. We were well ahead of third place. But Alonso's doing a very good job, hopping to P3. Sainz is all over the back of him like a rash, of course, but he should get him, to be fair. I say should. DRS down here. Won't get him on this straight, I don't think, but he'll get him down the pit straight with a second dose of it, you would imagine. Well, maybe he will get him before. Maybe we'll get him here. Swooping around the outside of the chicane. Not the kind of place that he would usually pass. Double dose of DRS. We'll get another dose of it down this straight, and that will consolidate his position up into P3. Sainz, the lead Ferrari, on the podium now. Alonso fans will be a little bit unhappy with that, but we have a fast approaching Max Verstappen coming soon as well. Having had a slightly impeded pit stop, you would have to say. Just looking at this pit time here, I mean, if this goes below 20 seconds, we have to be very careful. But we're kind of still maintaining the same level of gap to the cars behind. So, I mean, if we were to look at the comparative last lap times, yeah, Sainz is a little bit quicker. Not massively. We don't want to be losing too much time to Sainz. So what we'll do is I think we'll do one more lap. We'll go around one more time with these two. And yeah, look at that. Have a look at the lap times. 1:17.9, 1:18.3. Let's see what Sainz is doing. So we're doing the same time as Sainz on worn mediums, and he's on fresh hards. So if that is the case, that's even more evidence that we should continue to extend our stint. It's only when he starts to bring that gap down massively that we should switch. 1:17.5, 1:17.3 for Alonso. Oh, 6/10 quicker. Okay, we're kind of getting to the realms of we probably should start. Yeah, that is coming down. And we don't want to be getting caught in any DRS trains here. So Lando Norris is the lead Mercedes at the time that we're going to decide to pit them. So he will come in for his stop before Hamilton. We're not going to stack them here.
And Lando, box this lap.
So this should benefit Lando because he's coming onto fresh tyres first.
Yeah, confirm. Happy to box at the end.
But he happened to be ahead on the track when we decided to bring the cars in, so he gets the preferential treatment today. For any of you wondering if there's any favouritism on the team, clearly not. Clearly not. It's all about where you are on the track. To help offset that, we are going to give Hamilton a bit of pushing here.
And just remind you to use the pit limiter in the pit lane.
Which is only fair. He's got slower tyres. He's going to have slower tyres compared to Lando. So we need to give him a bit of pushing here. Norris needs to exit this pit before these guys get to him. They are coming quite quick, but not quick enough. It's right off board here. Where's Norris? He's coming out. Where's Sainz? Coming down the pit straight. Where's Norris? He's coming out. Okay, there they are. There they are. It's a little bit closer than we would like, but we have tyres that are 3 or 4 laps fresher now, so that's pretty good. Hamilton's been given the push order, given that he's on slower tyres, so coming in for a thunderous hot lap. We haven't actually pitted him yet, have we? We haven't given him the pit order, have we? That would have been embarrassing, wouldn't it? Okay. So here we go. Let's see where he comes out, and then we shall probably start to look at double speeding this. And we've got a little bit of battling going on further down the field, but it's a bit much of a DRS trainee type race for my liking, this one. Sector 1, we've got an issue. We've got an issue. If the safety car came out now, this would be great for Hamilton. DRS disabled. I've got a feeling that we are safety carring it. What's happened here? Who is it? Who is it?
On the Haas.
Oh, outbraked himself there, and he's wiped out himself and an Aston Martin. Is that a safety car situation, or in a virtual safety car? This would be absolutely fantastic for Hamilton if a safety car or a virtual safety car. Well, virtual would be better. Okay,
Safety car deployed. Safety car
virtual
deployed.
would have been better because it meant the gaps to the rest of the field would have been maintained.
Drive to the delta. Drive to the delta.
The reason why I said it would have been great for Hamilton, or is good for Hamilton,
Yeah, go on.
is because he gets out ahead of Norris, really. But because it's a safety car full, the pack will be condensed, so it's not that much of an advantage now. But had it been a virtual safety car, Hamilton would have got out ahead of Norris, ahead of him in the DRS zone, out of the DRS zone because of the slower pit time in a virtual safety car, and he would have been about 4 or 5 seconds ahead of Norris, which would have been fantastic for his race and a slice of good fortune. Whereas now it's a full safety car, the pack will be backed up. Hamilton will still get ahead of Norris, because look at this is what I mean. If this was a virtual safety car, look how much further Hamilton would have been ahead of Norris
A big crash here.
on the track. But that's why that's another thing that we considered when we extended our stop, because we had the pace to extend. It made the sense to extend, and sometimes when you extend, this kind of situation happens, where you end up in a safety car or a virtual safety car. You haven't pitted yet, and then you get the luxury of a reduced pit time by being able to extend your stop by sort of 4, 5, 6 laps or whatever it might be. But anyway, we have a safety car situation. The pack, as you will know, will
careful with
bunch
this
up. Yeah, safety car will pick the cars up now. So we shall get ourselves charged up. Rest of the pack backs up. In essence, we have now a rolling restart type situation as we ride on board with Hamilton. And we're going to go aggressive, we're going to go push, we're going to go deploy, aggressive,
Reminder,
push,
no overtaking until the
deploy,
line.
and we're going to hopefully charge away from the rest of the field. Alonso is still in third position, Sainz in fourth, Verstappen in fifth, Ricciardo in sixth, Gasly in seventh. We've got Leclerc down in P8 after his pit stop was compromised. 9 is Ocon and 10 is Bottas. Bottas the biggest loser after the first set of stops. He was up in P3 at one point. He'll be very disappointed with that. Hamilton has got the jump on Norris here. He's pulled out 8 tenths. Is he going to try to break that DRS before it returns? And if he does, is that going to be race over for Norris? Will he be able to keep up with Hamilton without the benefits of DRS? He has to cling on here. Both cars given the push order, plenty of fuel to play with, plenty of tyre life to play with. We're going to be well ahead of the curve when it comes to the tyres. I'm going to say, why is Hamilton's graph so steep? It's because he was down as pushing, whereas he's not yet. When we're going to be running mediums, we're going to be well ahead of the curve here. Got plenty of tyre life to play with. We're pulling a gap to 2.5 seconds to Alonso here, and Norris has managed to keep within that kind of second gap. Almost caught sleeping, you might have thought at one point, but clearly not. And I think we've got the gap that we need. We're going to tell them to turn down for now. We're going to keep these extra bits of fuel, extra bit of tyre life in the pocket if we need them down the line with further safety cars. Other things could happen. Let's not burn through our excesses here. We might need them later in the race. So we're happy with the 3.4 second gap here. We're back into the DRS switcheroo now for the two drivers. Yeah, back as we were before the safety car and before the pit stops. So yeah, as we come to almost the halfway stage of the race. So there's your top 10. Verstappen will be challenging Alonso. No DRS just yet. But this, as we saw last time, this little DRS game will continue for quite some time. So we are going to actually bunch it up to 2-speed now, because I can't envisage anything major happening for the rest of this race, to be quite frank. So one-stop race. It's dry weather. Our cars are going to be switching positions. DRS is now enabled, so Alonso's going to be at risk of being passed. If Verstappen doesn't get third position here, I think this would be a catastrophic result for him, because he's clearly got the pace. Had the pace in qualifying, got the pace in the race. It's just that the DRS is pretty much negating that. Russell has managed to get up to P15 now. Will he get any further higher up the field is to be seen. And Perez is in P12. He's struggling a little bit. Trying to get past Vettel in the Alpha Tauri. Coming down to the hairpin here. Looks like he may well make that one stick. Up into P11. Indeed he does. And he's back on board again as we go down the Casino Straight here. Now we've got the old train going on, haven't we? We've got Alonso and Verstappen switching positions. Verstappen getting a dose of DRS down this straight, so that gives him that opportunity to cruise on down the road. And Alonso suffering as Sainz had DRS as well there. And of course Alonso was the lead car when the detection point hit, so he got done twice by cars around him with DRS, and he finds himself now down in P5. Ricciardo is in P6. Will be looking to get ahead of Alonso at some point in the next couple of laps, perhaps. We've got Gasly, Leclerc, Ocon, Bottas, Perez, Vettel, all part of this train of cars from P4 down all the way to P12, given we've just had a safety car restart, as both of our cars are riding side by side into the hairpin there. Hamilton is ahead, but who was ahead at the detection point? Hamilton was. So even though he's ahead, he's going to get DRS down this straight, DRS down the pit straight. It still won't be enough, I don't think, for him to get ahead, more than a second ahead, but it certainly gives him some breathing room for the next half a lap or so as he continues to streak away with his rear wing opened to give him that extra speed due to less drag. But yes, let's keep riding on board. And I don't know why the speed went down. Oh, hang on, we're in another crash here. Looks like it's Bottas. Oh, it is Bottas! Bottas is in the wall here. Bottas is out of the race, it looks like here. And we have a replay of this. He's just completely locked it up and gone off the track, and in a strange glitch has ended up in the wall.
That's very unfortunate.
It was missing the wall initially.
The team are devastated.
And then his car had a sudden funny turn. No, he's not out of the race. He's actually... Has he lost a wing? Yeah, he's lost both sides of his wing. He's going to have to pit there. If he drives around with this for the rest of the race, he's going to be very slow. So he's probably going to have to. Well, he's definitely going to have to pit. But do the team have a spare wing? I mean, they should do, shouldn't they? Preparation is the key and all that. So Bottas coming a cropper, a race to forget for Bottas. Remember, we said at one point he was in P3. He was on the podiums. He was battling with Verstappen. What happened? What the hell happened there? From third to last, pretty much. Sad times. Yep, he's coming in to change his wing, as you would expect. Alonso, almost out of the DRS range of Max. If he doesn't keep up, he's out of it now. Ooh, that's bad news if he doesn't maintain that DRS gap. Max Verstappen will start to pull away if he doesn't manage to stay in it. He's in it for the straight. Down the straight, he'll be activated. That'll close that gap up nicely as the two cars in the front continue to switch positions. He'll get another dose of it down here. Will he pass into the first corner? Yes, he does. Does he make it stick? Yes, he does. So there you go, you saw it firsthand. At one point it was 8/10 behind Verstappen, and then with the DRS up the straight, DRS up the pit straight, he's ahead of him. That's how powerful it is. You can make up a second and still be ahead of the car in front of you. So yeah, hence why you have such a train effect on this track. But anyway, we shall continue at 2 speed, and we shall watch as the train of doom snakes its way round the circuit. Who will end up on the podium? It could be any one of these cars, depending on how they position themselves for the DRS straights, I suppose. The most likely would be the ones that are towards the front right now, but what's to stop Leclerc from passing a few cars and getting to the head of that train? It happened last time, it could happen again. It's all about tactics. How can you make your way forward through a train of cars, all with DRS? It's difficult. And this gives you an indication of how F1 potentially would be like without DRS, because if the cars didn't have this false overtaking aid, all cars would be in the same condition, aka, you know, wings shut at all times. And would we end up with races like this where they are constantly running around in a train with each other, because of the fact that it's difficult to pass? I don't know, maybe not. But anyway, it is what it is. DRS has been here for a long time now, and its use and positioning of your car in relation to its use is become a tactic all of its own in certain circuits. So yeah, it is what it is. As our 2 cars continue to gap Verstappen, who is now more than a second ahead of Sainz, so that's interesting. Verstappen has threatened to break that DRS zone more than once. So I don't think he's going to get it down the straight. He'll get a slipstream though. That still might help. It's just a natural slipstream. This, not DRS, but it does help. It has brought it down. But as he actually got it, no. So this is a purely slipstream effect right now. That's allowing him to get back to within the second. He's going to need to be within the second round about the end of this chicane, because there is another DRS zone, of course, down this straight, which now Sainz will get, because he was within a second, which will pull him back towards the rear end of Verstappen, puts him to less than a second going into the detection zone right about now for the back straight. That's the line right there, and now he will have full effect of DRS down this straight, looking to make a pass, won't get it, get another dose down this straight, and he should technically pass, but he doesn't, as Verstappen has managed to keep his nose out in front for another lap, but he will have to continue to do that for another fair few if he's to finish on the final podium position. Perez up to P10. He is making his way forward. I mean, if you look at the tyre life, he is going to be one of the runners that has the most worn tyres, having come in quite early for his stop. We were thinking that he was going to do a 2-stop. He still may have to, although the safety car period will help people that have slightly older tyres, because it means that you are running around not at full pace, and therefore you're conserving your tyre life a little bit. So here you go, last lap for Hamilton, a 1:16.6. Not the quickest lap of the race though. We've got Ocon doing 1:16.6, we've got Perez doing a 1:16.3, so not particularly quick. Norris with a 1:17.0. Depends on who was ahead and who was getting DRS, so I expect Norris to be quicker than Hamilton on this lap, because Norris has got DRS down that straight. So as you can see there, 1:16.6, 1:16.7, 1:16.6, 1:16.9. So, well, quite consistently similar times there from the entire top teams. But yeah, look at this. So basically from 4th to 10th now we have a bit of a train going on. Actually, it's from 3rd, isn't it? It's from 3rd down to 10th. 7 cars. All within a second of each other. So in the last race we had a situation like this where both cars were battling with each other, and it was a safety car that decided the result, because the safety car came out with like 2 laps to go, and Hamilton was ahead at that particular moment, so Hamilton got the race victory handed to him on a silver platter. We'll see what happens this time as both cars continue to be close to each other, as to what happens in relation to the race finish here. Any one of these two can win it. They both can't break the DRS of each other. It all depends on their positioning as to where they are on the track come the final couple of laps, as to who will win this race. That is, of course, if they are both in the same position in another 22 laps time. Who's to say that one of them won't dip a wheel on the grass, drive into each other, drive into a barrier? All these things are possible. We hope they don't happen, but they're possible. Verstappen, 6.4 seconds behind, dragging these other cars along with him as Sainz overtakes him. Leclerc still in 8th. He's not making any forward moves through this train at the moment. Alonso hasn't been in P3 for a little while. It looks to be Verstappen and Sainz that have the speed to try to be the lead car come the finish line here. Perez is still in P10, hasn't gone any further forward, hasn't made his way past Ocon since getting up into the final points scoring position. There's still a bit of life left for him, although his tyres, of course, as we've seen, are more worn than the others, so he's now at a detriment. Because the safety car will have helped the cars around him, of course, conserve their tyres. They are now going on definitely on a 1-stop. Even if he got into a 2-stop now, he's going to be compromised because he has to come in, take a stop, put a set of softs on, but he's going to lose about 17, 18 seconds to them. Puts him right at the back of the field. You've got to suggest that that's not going to be a very viable strategy right now. Hence why, as I've always said, 2 stops can be quicker on paper, but you've got to factor in the likelihood of safety cars to ruin your strategy. And yeah, I think going on to a 1-stop with the option of a 2 to be flexible is a safer bet than committing straight to a 2. Clearly now, as with the safety car coming out, clearly now a 1-stop is the clear favoured strategy. We've got plenty of life in these tyres. If another safety car comes out, we could even potentially consider sticking on a set of softs if we wanted to. We'd come out round about here, which is obviously an issue. We'd have soft tyres, but given the strength of the DRS, I think we could make our way through the field quite nicely. Especially because we've got fuel to burn too. I think going on to a set of softs under a safety car condition any time within the next sort of 6 or 7 laps wouldn't be a horrendous call. Especially with safety car, we'd be all bunched up as well after we'd finished our stop. So, and we wouldn't lose. And in fact, because it would be a safety car conditions, we probably wouldn't be finishing quite as low down as I think, given that we'd lose less time under a safety car. Might only lose like 12 seconds. So, again, thinking ahead. Always thinking about what if, buts, maybes. Should we? Should we not? Yeah. What should we do? Do we need to take that risk? Anyway, we have got 17 laps to go after we've crossed the line. We are 1 and 2. We have been for pretty much the entirety of this race. Sainz is in 3rd still. Verstappen still behind him. We've got Alonso still in 5th. Ricciardo still in 6th. Gasly in 7th. Leclerc still in 8th. And we've got Ocon and Perez at the back of that train as well, as it continues to thunder around the track. Vettel 11.4 seconds ahead. Behind, Perez, and 2.6 ahead of Russell, who's now up to P12. So he's beginning to make forward moves now, is Russell. It's taken him a little while, but he is now slowly beginning to make his way through the field. I mean, P12 still not covering himself in glory here, you would say, but it's better than P18 where he was for some time. Bottas has got soft tyres on. They will not last till the end of the race, so I don't know why he put soft tyres on. He's got a Sector 3 issue. Perez is coming into the pits for his second stop. A set of softs going on. If a safety car comes out now, he'll be spitting feathers because he won't get the benefit of a full safety car stop here. Looks like the yellow flags have gone in, so no safety cars or virtual safety cars to speak of. He's back in P13. He is on soft tyres. Are they fresh or worn? They are fresh, so a fresh set of softs. He's gonna have to make some major moves now, but it'll be interesting to ride on board with Perez. He's got fresh soft tyres. They are already, 0.6 of a second per lap quicker than fresh hard tyres, so God knows how much quicker they're going to be than worn hard tyres. This is a man that will be making some moves right about now, and if you're going to put your money on where the action is going to be for the rest of this race, it is riding on board with Sergio Perez as he scythes his way through the field, probably like a hot knife through butter. Where can he finish? That is the golden question. He was in P10, I think, so that would be a start. Let's see if he can put the power down with those soft tyres now. Better traction out of the corners, better grip through the corners. DRS on top should really make people ahead of him literally sitting ducks. But you just never know, do you, in this game, because overtaking cars on slower tyres is not something that the AI factor in very well at all. So as much as on paper this should be an easy pickings type situation, it might not be. We shall see. So we've gone down to 1 speed clearly again, because we've got a bit of action here as we have 14 laps to go in this race. 9 seconds is the gap to Verstappen, who still has sights right all over him. Alonso's still there. This train still continues on. I'm surprised that Perez hasn't got past Albon yet. Is he going to outbrake him into this chicane? Yes, he is. He's going to put the power down on the exit, and he's going to thunder on past. There you go. The joys of fresh soft tyres. I don't think Russell's got DRS on Vettel, so Perez should be also passing Russell here. Get better traction off this corner. DRS, he should be passing Russell even before we get to the chicane. This should be home and hosed, cut and dried, unless his car tops out, which it is doing. So he's going to have to rely on better acceleration rather than better top speed as he weaves all over the circuit. And there you go, better drive out of that final corner, and that will put him up into P11, only 1.2 behind Vettel, which means that essentially when he gets past Vettel, which he should be doing with consummate ease, he'll be back to where he was, which is P10, and then 14 seconds behind Ocon, but with those gloriously fresh tyres on. Of course, their freshness will degrade over time, so he has to get most of his work done early as possible, whilst the tyre offset is as great as it can be. As we have a 10-second gap now to Sainz, who has passed Verstappen, and it looks like Verstappen is going to repass back again. Alonso just watching on, not taking part in much of this battling, because he hasn't been any higher than 5th for a little while as these two battle for the last podium spot. Ricciardo has planted his Mercedes quite nicely in that train. A P6 there would be not a bad result for the Mercedes team. I mean, a P5 would be even better if he could nick it, but not too shabby. Gasly in the Alfa Romeo, the lead Alfa, given Bottas his misdemeanors today, and Leclerc still not being able to make his way forward here. Perez, so this is now 14.4. Let's see if that comes down any at all. Doesn't seem to be, does it? What's Ocon's tyres? Yeah, worn hards. Still fresh softs. Unless he's conserving his tyres, Perez, because he doesn't seem to be gaining on Ocon as quick as I would anticipate, given he's got these fresh softs on. Oh, it's 13.4. That's come down a decent chunk now. He should be. We'll get the lap times when they cross the line. He should be at least a second per lap quicker than Ocon. He really should. We'll see. I'm anticipating Perez getting the fastest lap of this race when he crosses the line. So I won't be surprised to see this be a 1:15 point something here. Here we go. Fastest lap for Perez? Yeah, should be, right? 1:15.2. That's not the fastest lap of the race, apparently. Jesus. Still pretty quick, though, isn't it? It's 1.8 seconds quicker than Ocon. Brings the gap down to 12.12. 12.2, sorry. 12.12. Right. 12.2. So, yeah, he's bringing that gap down. So, within sort of 6 to 8 laps, you would argue that Perez should be on the back of Ocon. His tyres will be degrading, of course, every lap that goes round. But this is why the two-stop was badged to be quicker. It's because of the last stint on the softs would be so fast. But it's, you know, we can afford to be conservative given our race pace. 11.6. Let's go for lap times one more time, and we shall then leave Sergio Perez B for a couple of laps. So 1:17.2 that last lap for Ocon. Perez with a 1:15.3. So yeah, again, he's lapping near enough 2 seconds a lap quicker than the car ahead of him. Should be catching him within that sort of 6 to 8 lap window. So exciting for the end of the race. So let's take a look at our boys. Here they are, still riding as they have done for the entirety of this race, side by side, pretty much. Switching positions. It's almost like they are just, you know, waving at each other through. But I'm telling you, these two will be battling really hard here. Keeping it fair and clean, but battling really hard, whereas we look on and thinking, oh, isn't it a nice little Sunday drive for these two? They're probably on the edge, on their limit, trying to beat each other. Just because they're teammates doesn't mean they have, you know, there's no mates on the track. You know, you're out for number one, you're out for yourself, you're out to win. There's a championship at stake here. Both these cars will be absolutely pushing like crazy to ensure that they try to win this race. Verstappen is in third, Sainz is in fourth, Alonso still fifth, and the usual candidates haven't made any moves yet. And here comes Sergio Perez like a bat out of hell. Absolutely thundering through the field. He's up into P10. He's coming fast up to the back of Ocon with his fresh, spanking, sparkling new soft tyres. So we've definitely got a big enough gap now that should there be a safety car or a virtual safety car, we can get out in and out ahead of Sainz. So if any sort of safety car situation, virtual safety car situation transpires here, we are going in and out for soft tyres at this point. It would make sense. So just need to be switched on to that fact. If it happens, not forced to happen, but it may happen. Russell, P12, right on the back of Albon. Is he going to make it? Not into that chicane, but don't forget, we've got that second dose of DRS down the pit straight, up the inside, round the centre corner. Still in P12. I mean, it's as high as it's going to get. P11 will be as high as it's going to get because P10 is 11.4 seconds down the flipping road. You know, you ain't catching Perez for a start. It's got much better tyres. 4.5 seconds is the gap. We go to the forward-facing view, and you can see that train of cars ahead. You can smell more points on the table. Will he be able to make his way through the DRS train? Is the next question. Even with soft tyres, it's going to be getting difficult. The soft tyres are wearing 76%. Still decent life. Still enough to push. Still enough to try to get past these cars. Probably still enough to be considerably faster than those cars. Will he be able to make it work? Could he get up to around about 7th or 6th? I think that's as high as he's going to get, if I'm being honest. But stranger things have happened. Look how quick he's gaining. Riding on board. With the man on the move. Sainz is up to third again as they continue to battle. So it's 1.1 seconds away from the DRS zone. He might have DRS right now, actually. He might have just... Oh, no, he hasn't just. He almost got there. He's now, like, less than a second. He'll be getting DRS at this point going forward. So, yeah, this is going to be interesting. How will Perez make his way through this train with his soft tyres? He's now well and truly in it. He's got 4 laps to go. Let's see how he gets on. Power down. DRS open in both cars. Will he make it move it? No, into that chicane? No, he doesn't. We've got the main chicane coming up now. Will he go up the inside of the hairpin? No. DRS detection. DRS activated right about now. Powering down the straight. Defensive position from Ocon. Past the wall of champions. Down the home straight. The purple, the pinky hubs of that wheel glinting in the sunlight. But Perez has made it past Ocon. He's up to P9. Here we go. Continue onwards. Will he get Charles Leclerc next? Let's see. Down this straight. DRS open in both cars. Power down. Soft tyres. Better traction. Not good enough, but we're going to be in the same position here we are as we were in the last lap, which is right on the gearbox of the car ahead. DRS open now. Won't get him down the straight. Will he get him on the pit straight? Same situation. Takes the chicane. Wall of champions down the pit straight. Round the outside of the first corner. Up the inside of the second corner there. Up into P8 for Sergio Perez. As he's now got Gasly in his sights. Rinse and repeat. DRS open. Just keeping us in position. We've had a crash. Who's crashed? We've got a virtual safety car here. This is not the time to bring your car in for a pit stop. We can afford to, actually, funnily enough. We've got plenty of a gap, but there's no point at this point. Somebody's crashed. It looks like Ocon has crashed. No? Who's crashed?
We've just had a crash
Oh,
on the
it's
track.
Schumacher.
Here's the replay. Right, watch this.
Where's he
There's
gone?
Schumacher.
Wall of Champions? Oh, it is into the Wall of Champions.
That's an off, and a big off.
Could this be a premonition? He's not a champion yet, but you've hit that wall, so he'll be a champion in the future. Who knows? But Mick Schumacher into the Wall of Champions, bringing out the virtual safety car so the debris can be cleared. I don't think that's going to make much of a difference here, because we're going into the final lap.
This is the last lap.
This is the last lap, and look, it's Norris that benefits from the virtual safety car this time. Hamilton benefited from the safety car last time. Norris benefits from the safety car, albeit virtual. This time, is it going to be gifting Norris the race victory, this safety car now? Because even if the safety car ends, the virtual safety car, Hamilton has to make it past Norris by the start-finish line, and that, at this point in the race, is going to be very tricky, because most people overtake after the line and into the first corner. It'll be too late then. It looks like Norris is odds-on favourite at this point to win this race after battling with Hamilton to and fro for the second race in a row. The race victory has been decided by a safety car. Can you believe that? Sainz is in third, Verstappen in fourth, Alonso in fifth, Ricciardo in 6th, Gasly in 7th. Perez was making his way through the field, could well have got another couple of positions had it not been for this virtual safety car. So here we go, cars trundling down. Virtual safety car is ending soon. Virtual safety car ending soon. It's going to be too late for Hamilton and anybody else that wanted to pass the car in front of them. It was going to end right as we cross the line. So safety car ends, and of course there's no DRS after a safety car. Oh, there is. It's been enabled straight away. But it's too late. As Norris crosses the line for race victory, Hamilton is in P2. Let's have a look. Will Max Verstappen get Sainz before the line? No. Anybody else switching positions right now is going to be pretty much slim to none.
A long way to go, but let's keep pushing, guys. I believe in you.
Look at that.
Well done, mate. We believe in you too.
Look at that. We have another safety car interfered finish. But that's not going to be anything that's going to be complained about if you're a Lando Norris fan or from Lando Norris himself. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. Hamilton got the benefits last race. These things even themselves out over the course of time, over the long run. So, you know, it is what it is. Swings and roundabouts, but Norris, race victory, a well-deserved race victory. He's kept Hamilton honest in qualifying. He out-qualified him. In the race, he's been just as quick as him. So, kudos. Kudos indeed to the young Brit as he brings it in first, Hamilton second. Another 1-2 for the McLaren boys. So there you go, folks. That was the Canadian Grand Prix. Lando Norris with the fastest lap of the race as well for an extra bonus point. Get in there, Sonny Jim. 1:14.7 was that fastest lap. So 26 points, maximum points for Lando today. Lewis finishing in second, comfortably in second, over Carlos Sainz, who managed to finish third after swapping positions several times with Max Verstappen. Max Verstappen, probably the most unhappy driver of the race weekend. He finished on pole by some decent a considerable margin given F1 standards. Finishing on pole by 0.3 of a second is a significant chunk of time, especially on a lap that is only 1 minute and 15 seconds to finish. So he will be very disappointed to have finished outside of the podium after such a strong showing in qualifying. Fernando Alonso will probably be one of the most happier of the drivers in the top sort of placings, because he made up 4 positions to finish a healthy 5th. Daniel Ricciardo making 6th, Pierre Gasly 7th, and Sergio Perez, although he made up 8 positions to get 8th in the Red Bull, finishing 8th is never a good thing, I would suggest. Qualifying seriously hampering his entire weekend. Due to mistiming the weather there. Charles Leclerc, another poor showing. He's been the enigma of the season. Times he's looked thunderously fast, like Miami, and then times he's just looked sluggish, like today, and in other races we've noticed too. So I don't know what's happening with him, but if I was the team boss of Ferrari, I'd be giving him a kick up the jacksie, and performance plan, pal. You're on an action plan. You're not doing very well. If it continues, you're fired. And Ocon there, bringing up the last points at paying position. Lewis Hamilton then, 196 points. Lando Norris has gained, of course, so the gap is now 45 points. Not quite 2 race victories, but 45 points. Is a very healthy lead, but not one to be taken for granted, of course. It only takes one retirement and things are back on. Verstappen making up a place because of Charles Leclerc's horrendous race here. He's into P3 again now, a further 40 points back on Lando. Leclerc on 105 points, and you can see the rest here. Constructors heaven for the McLaren team, absolutely fantastic. 248 points ahead in the constructors. I think you might say, am I getting my maths right there? 100, sorry, I got a bit excited. Let me get my maths right here. 148 points. 148 points. Ahead of Red Bull. Still a lot of points, isn't it? Really, let's be honest. Still a lot. Ferrari is down in third with 187. So these two are going to be battling very closely for P2, because P1 at the moment is an absolute domination. Mercedes in fourth. A fair chunk ahead of Alfa Romeo. I haven't actually put my development points into Norris over the past couple of races, which is... yeah, we don't need them. Clearly he does. He needs them. He needs them in his fight with Hamilton. Let's go to and do that now before I forget. So Lewis Hamilton, no development points. Lando Norris, 1 development point. Reactions. Let's put it in his weakest start, I think. Let's go with that strategy for now. I usually do random select, but I can't be bothered to get my phone out because it's charging. So, right, okay. In fact, it should be charged now that I've been nattering for an hour and a half. There we go. Excellent. So there we go, folks. We'll just thunder through some of these things. We've got a new ATR testing period, which is good for any future parts that we wish. British Grand Prix is in 11 days. Let's see what car projects that we will have designed and finished by then. We will have new side pods. We will have a new suspension. We won't have our new floor, which is not a problem because this is our final major upgrade of the season, and we expect this to be a real big one for us. So looking forward to that coming. But we will have new side pods, we will have new suspension before the next race, and we will start designing other car parts as well to try to help our top speed. We have focused these parts on top speed where we can, so we will continue with that same methodology to see if we can kind of give our car that extra bit of top speed that's been lacking for the past couple of seasons. So that will be done before the start of the next session. Last thing to check, have we got these? Yes, right, underfloor. We're not going to be doing any more underfloors. I think we're going to be doing more other things, such as, I don't know, chassis maybe. Let's go for a chassis point there, for example. If we make any chassis, that could be helpful. We're looking for high speed drag reduction, maybe there, because, you know, DRS top speed, perhaps. Potentially. I don't think it makes a massive difference, to be honest. But anyway, so there you go. So staff done, drivers done, cars will be getting some new car parts before the next race weekend in the British Grand Prix at Silverstone. So there you go. Everything looking hunky-dory. Right, so the next session of this will be not too much longer because I want to get this finished before I go on holiday, and I can't stream for a little while because I'm going out on Monday now, so my Monday stream is not going to happen. Sunday I'm in London, so and Tuesday I'm back to football again, so my next stream possibly could be Wednesday actually, which will be CK2 anyway. So between now and next Wednesday, of course, I'll be getting some more of these up and some more of the Contraband Police as well. So stay tuned as we continue our way through the championship here, hopefully to see a successful result at the end. But as things are looking, it should be the case. The question will be which of the two drivers gets there in the end. Right, have a good afternoon, folks. Enjoy the rest of this glorious weather that we're going to have for the entirety of our bank holiday weekend, and hopefully see some of you soon enough live. Until then, though, have a good one.